This is Squawk Pod, taking you behind the sounds of Squawk Box on CNBC. I'm producer Katie Kramer. And coming up, a story about a sport, a song, a synthesizer sting, and a deal maybe decades in the making.
I love this song. It just brings back everything for me. Everything.
Roundball Rock is the much-loved theme of the 1990s broadcast of the NBA on NBC. The song was composed by television broadcaster and musician John Tesh. He was the co-host of Entertainment Tonight at the time as well. And while this song hyped up fans watching basketball, the game itself was exploding in popularity at this time. Michael Jordan led the Chicago Bulls to 3 consecutive championships in the early 90s.
The younger generation may not care.
It does sound a little dated, though.
In a story of the kind only we at CNBC can bring you, the rights to Roundball Rock, the intellectual property. CNBC.com media and technology reporter Alex Sherman has been looking into whether this very popular song will return with professional basketball to being broadcast on NBC, part of a massive media rights deal set to tip off with the start of the 2025 season.
I hate to break this to you and the audience, but there is no deal yet.
The high stakes of Roundball Rock.
What kind of money are we talking about, John Tesh?
The magic of creating a piece of art that most people love.
And I made an unkind comment that I feel pretty bad about. I think I said it sounded dated.
I tell you what, nobody else on Squawk Box reached out. It was just you.
And yep, the composer of Roundball Rock himself, John Tesh.
And it sounded like Edward R. Murrow live from London. It was like, John Tesh is playing hardball? John Tesh is not happy? John Tesh is holding out?
Settle in for the mercurial business of media licensing and a little Gen X nostalgia, courtesy of our Squawk Box anchors, Joe Kernen, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin on this bonus Squawk Pod.
Remember that? Let the nostalgia flood in, folks. During the 1990s, it was open. It was the open to the NBA on NBC. It featured the beloved Roundball Rock theme. It was composed by John Tesh.
No way.
But with the NBA coming back to NBC, will we once again hear that song blaring from our TVs? I hope so. The guy who knows the answer
Definitely in my head
is
for now.
CNBC's Alex Sherman at the table this morning. What do we got?
Let me tell you a little story, Andrew. A few months ago, I wrote a story about how NBC could license this song from John Tesh, the composer, when it became clear that NBC was on the verge of striking a deal to bring back the NBA, which starts next season.
I love this song. It just brings back everything for me.
So
everything.
When I wrote the story, the impact on social media was through the roof.
Yep.
So in the back of my mind as a reporter, I remembered that and was like, okay, let me check up on how that deal was. So in the intermediate, NBC Sports, when they announced that the NBA was coming back, said, hey, the song's going to come back too. And there was, internet rejoicing. So I checked up on the deal. I hate to break this to you and the audience, but there is no deal yet. Even though NBC Sports said the song's coming back, they're still in negotiations with John Tesh.
John Tesh is holding out?
John Tesh is asking for a lot.
What does he want?
NBC, I think he wants a lot of money. NBC doesn't necessarily want to pay all of the
What
money
kind of
that
money
John
are we talking
Tesh
about,
wants.
John Tesh?
Probably in the millions. I don't know exactly. What I do know is
And
that
Alex, this is your fault.
this is my fault,
created
right? No,
this problem?
it's not. Well, look, fans love this song, so I do not blame John Tesh at all for asking for a lot of money. But the standard, what this is it's a little window into licensing sports theme music, which is an area, to be honest, that I had never spent any time before writing the story. Apparently, the average sports TV theme song for a major event costs about $100,000 a year if you license it. So I think Tesh is asking for a lot more than that. And NBC Sports so far has balked to say, no, we're not going to pay that. So Tesh now has at least held a preliminary discussion with Amazon to say, hey, do you guys want it? But there's language in the NBA's deal with Amazon, which is also going to get games next year, assuming the Warner Brothers Discovery lawsuit, which is pending. They're trying to get at it. But we think Amazon's going to get games. Amazon needs to create their own theme music. The NBA mandated that, so they can't use Roundball
Tesh
Rock.
has no competition here.
So Tesh, apparently, from what I've been told, actually sent Amazon 2 other songs to be like, hey, if you can't use Roundball Rock, here's 2 other songs I have
that's
in
fine,
the garage.
but they can use that song, and then NBC should be able to buy the other song.
So from
Tesh
what
is
I
getting
hear,
either something or nothing.
NBC fully expects to reach a deal still for the song, and we're still in negotiations. Another thing I was told is that Tesh has actually held a conversation with a VC firm where he could sell the song to the VC firm, and the VC firm could negotiate with NBC.
Take some risk off the table.
A little risk off the table. Remember, there was like a big SNL sketch about this song. This song is wildly popular.
This is like the theme song to Top Gun, though. It brings you hear it, and it brings back a whole.
But you also
sort of
think
nostalgia.
of NBC, like, honestly.
The other piece,
basketball on NBC.
but the other piece of it that I just don't know is the younger generation may not care. They
might
don't
not.
know it. They've never heard it in their whole life.
And in fact, I suppose if NBC Sports said we want to reach the younger generation, maybe they feel like the song is old and they want to bring in a new song. So there's a lot of different things. Look, 90s nostalgia is big. Like, you just think about all of the different reboots on the streaming services of 90s TV. So there's absolutely a huge fan base there that I think NBC wants to reach. And it would be weird to hear this song on like ESPN.
It does sound a little dated, though.
But actually, Fox Sports has used the song for years. Tesh licensed it to Fox to use for their Big East games.
Wow.
So it's not like the song has totally disappeared. But obviously, people associate it with NBC.
That synthesizer sound is definitely a little dated. Like, it reminds me of broadcast news when they were trying to come up with the new.
You know, if you're under 30 years old, you've never heard this in your whole life, and you don't even know. It doesn't even matter to you.
The reason
if I was NBC negotiating with Tesh, that's what I'd say.
Absolutely. And I would imagine Tesh is saying, well, you know what? There's going to be major blowback from the over 30 crowd that's watching your game if the song doesn't come back.
But you know what?
By the way, do you really think they're still going to watch? I'm sorry, John. I'm a big fan. I don't think you have too much negotiating.
You started this saying you wanted the song to come back.
I do.
Okay, yeah.
I do. Yeah. I think I would selfishly love for it to come back.
Right.
But we also selfishly.
You're over
how many
30.
people do we have to fire to get that song
You're
back?
either getting something or nothing. That's John Tesh's option. Something or nothing.
I hope the sides meet in the middle and come to a deal, and we hear the song.
Right. Time passes so fast. I thought I heard that song when I watched the NBA last week. Are you sure it's not?
The NBA is.
I swear to God. Is that not used anymore?
NBC's paying $2.5 billion a year now for the NBA. So yeah, they're probably looking to cut some costs around the edges here. And that goes through the whole.
Mostly
company.
on weekends. Though,
you know, the song. I don't know. I want the song to come back.
Okay.
Not at the expense of firing people.
No, not at the expense of firing people. Exactly.
Thank you.
Look, that's why they haven't had a deal. It's a negotiation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the conversation didn't end there. Later that same day, the actual John Tesh responded in his own podcast, and remember this line of commentary?
That synthesizer sound is definitely a little dated.
Well, that touched a bit of a nerve. You can listen to John's episode. We'll share a link in our show notes. Our team heard that, and Becky very much wanted to make things right. So she reached out and asked John Tesh to come join us on Squawk Box.
By the way, heard from John Tesh. He may come on.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Roundball Rock. We'll talk about it.
And he did. Here's that conversation.
And John, I just want to welcome you. First of all, for anybody who wasn't watching last week, we did a segment with Alex Sherman, a reporter from CNBC, talking about how these negotiations had been taking place, talked a little bit about it. And I made an unkind comment that I feel pretty bad about. I think I said it sounded dated. I heard you talk about it on a podcast, and I felt really bad because I love Roundball Rock. I love you, John, and we're really happy to have you here to talk a little bit about this today. So thank you for joining us.
This is so funny. You didn't have to reach out, but on the podcast, I just thought, hey, listen, this song is not. I went crazy. This song is not dated. You know, it's all those sounds are coming back. It was. I mean, I tell you what, nobody else on Squawk Box reached out. It was just you. You know, and so
I think I was the only one who said something unkind.
I said you were like Top Gun. I said you were like Kenny Loggins.
You did. Top Gun.
I get the Top Gun credit, dude.
Yeah, but I get the Caddyshack.
Okay.
I get that Kenny Loggins Caddyshack
I
credit.
can remember Caddyshack.
Yes, exactly. Oh, you guys all get credit. Yeah, the Top Gun thing was really nice. Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, real quickly before we get into it, I have to tell you that I'm sending you something, Becky. This is this is an old school dated sound synthesizer. Okay, and you can see I wrote on there dated sounds for Becky, and I signed it. So
John,
you'll be able to make
this.
all those dated. You'll be able to do the Top Gun sound. You can do the Roundball Rock sound. Of course, you're going to have to report this to the IRS and to NASDAQ and all the rest of that stuff that you guys are dealing with. But maybe you can just auction it off or something. But
that's a good idea. We probably should. That's fantastic.
The old sound is back.
John, we talked about this, and we got into a little bit about how, and you can tell us the timeline on some of these things. Maybe we should just start with that. I mean, Roundball Rock is a song everybody knows. It's a song everybody gets excited about. And when NBC put out the release saying that you were going to be back with that, there was some fan excitement online about that. I guess we haven't completely negotiated a deal. There is no rights deal just yet. What happened?
Well, I mean, they released a press release saying that they got the rights to the NBA, which was amazing. And then in that, they included the fact that they were bringing Roundball Rock back, and we hadn't talked yet. The good news is because you guys were squawking about it, and Watergate reporter Alex Sherman reported on it, and so now we are talking. So whenever I need anything, I'm just going to call you guys. No, I'm just. But it was no. So we are talking, and it's great. But it was funny because I didn't see it live, and I watched the video of you guys, and it sounded like Edward Murrow live from London. I was like, John Tesh is playing hardball. John Tesh is not happy. John Tesh is holding out, and then so of course the internet picks it up and says John Tesh is holding out. I'm not holding out. I mean, NBC is my friend. Rick Cordella, who's now the new president of NBC Sports, is incredible. I mean, this guy is he's launching NBC Sports into a new era, and the guy has 6 Emmys. And so all I'm doing right now is we're going to put together something, and I'm just looking forward to working with these guys.
Fantastic. We are thrilled to have you back.
The other side right now.
Right.
Well, we are thrilled to have you back in the fold.
And not only did I not say it was dated, I said I thought I heard it last week watching a basketball
You did.
game.
You did.
That's how fast 20 years goes now, John, as you probably...
Yeah, you thought you'd heard it at the supermarket.
Are you sure it's not still... I was watching it.
John, talking about dated or updating it, one of the things you said on the podcast, which I enjoyed watching, was the idea that you might actually tinker with it a little bit. Was that what you were intimating?
Updated, hopefully.
We actually...
An orchestra, right?
Updated, hopefully.
Yeah. Guys,
that's Joe.
We went to the legendary Ocean Way recording in Nashville, and we recorded several versions of it. But it was funny because when I said on some podcast that I was going to re-record it, people were like, no, don't touch it. We like the OG version of it, and I had to ask my 30-year-old daughter what the heck that meant. So there are actually 3 versions of it now, and so next year is going to be a big year for us because we're going to release a new sports record that'll have all 3 versions of it, and then we're actually going to do a thing called Roundball Rock Battle of the Bands, where it's going to be contests between high school bands, and we'll give away hundreds of instruments, and it's going to be great. Just leading up to the new season.
You thought about giving it away or selling it to private equity and having them kind of do any negotiations with it. What changed your mind?
It was my 12-year-old granddaughter. She said no, Pop, and we were very close, and she said, Pop, no, you can't sell this song. And so all 3 of my grandkids, 12, 10, and 8, they can play the song on the piano. But my 12-year-old the other day, she goes, Pop, I've been playing this Roundball Rock for a while, and it's pretty easy. There's a lot of white keys. And I said, shut up, kid. But they're all into it. The funny thing about all this is I don't think anybody would have predicted that Charles Barkley would be on ESPN, that Al Michaels would be on Amazon Sports, and that Roundball Rock would be back on NBC. It's like, it's dogs will be friends with cats. It's like one of the biblical signs of the end of the world, but I'll take it.
Well, we got plenty of other indications of that, Joe.
Do we get to talk about Entertainment Tonight and Mary Hart and all? I mean, John, I grew up watching you. This whole thing is incredible to me that we're even having this conversation.
Listen, the first time you guys said something about it, I got so many texts from all of my friends saying that, hey, did you know you were on Squawk Box? And not one of my friends could spell squawk, but now they're all huge fans.
Hey, John, I want to say thank you for being gracious when I reached out. And
we'll see.
Well, no, he immediately got back with me, and I teased. I will tell you, I was texting back and forth with him while we were on the show, and he said he might come on this week, and I teased it. I said, he's coming on next week, and then I realized that I had done the same thing, that I got excited, and I spouted off before I should have. So thanks for being gracious all the way around,
that's
John.
Great. I appreciate you guys. And in the world of geopolitics, it's this big, but I appreciate talking to you guys about it.
We appreciate talking to you too. John Tesh.
Thank you for listening to this bonus Squawk Pod, produced by me, Katie Kramer, Cameron Costa, and Zach Velisi. John Lazaration is our editor. Followers get this podcast every day and sometimes more right in your feed. We bring you the best interviews, analysis, and conversations from our 3-hour cable TV morning show in an easy-to-listen-to podcast that you can check out anytime, anywhere. Don't forget to hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts, and you won't miss a thing.